Could Alberta really break away from Canada and become the 51st state of the United States? It sounds extreme, even impossible, but in 2026, a province-wide vote may bring this question to the forefront of Canadian politics and potentially reshape the map of North America. So what's really happening in Alberta? How serious is this movement? And could Alberta actually join the US? Let's break it down fact by fact. To understand Alberta's political mood, you have to understand its long-standing grievances. Many Albertans feel ignored, economically and politically, by the federal government in Ottawa. They send billions in equalization payments to other provinces, while their own oil and gas industries face federal restrictions, pipeline delays, and carbon policies many view as harmful. This frustration has fueled a movement known as Western alienation, and at times even talk of Alberta Independence. Polling in recent years shows up to 45% of Albertans have at least considered the idea of leaving Canada. But most don't want to go it alone, they want leverage. Which brings us to the year 2026. Alberta Premier Danielle Smith has proposed a legal path for a citizen-led referendum. If enough Albertans, around 177,000, sign a petition, the province could hold a vote on separation by 2026. To be clear, Smith hasn't endorsed leaving Canada. She's positioning herself as a facilitator, someone letting the people decide. Her government passed legislation to make this process easier, and that's ignited a firestorm of speculation from Ottawa to Washington. Some see it as political theater, others as the first serious legal path to secession since Quebec in the 1990s. But let's say Albertans vote yes to leaving. Can they just walk away from Canada? No, not even close. Under Canada's Clarity Act and the Supreme Court's 1998 decision, a referendum must have a clear question, a clear majority, and must be followed by complex negotiations with the federal government. Ottawa would have to agree to Alberta leaving. That's never happened before. And then there's the issue of Indigenous land rights. Alberta is covered by treaty agreements between First Nations and the Crown. These would have to be reinterpreted, renegotiated, or challenged in court. In short, separation isn't just about public opinion. It's about law, history, and constitutionality. Even if the legal path were clear, the practical consequences would be massive. Alberta is landlocked. Leaving Canada means renegotiating access to pipelines, ports, and trade routes. It also means giving up federal funding for pensions, healthcare, and infrastructure. There's no guarantee that businesses or investors would stay in an independent Alberta. Political instability scares markets. And what about currency? Military, border controls, these aren't minor details. They're the core of what makes a country function. Alberta would essentially need to rebuild a federal state from scratch, or join another one. Now here's where the idea takes a sharp turn. What if Alberta doesn't just leave Canada, but joins the United States? It's not a new idea. A small but vocal group of Albertans has pushed for joining the US for years, especially during the Trump era. But it's fringe. Polls show that only around 10% of Albertans support this idea, and no serious American officials have endorsed it. For Alberta to become a US state, Congress would have to approve it. That's highly unlikely, especially without chaos in Canada's response. More importantly, most Albertans still identify strongly with Canada, even if they're angry at Ottawa. This is about reform, not relocation. So, could Alberta leave Canada and become the 51st US state? Technically, it's possible. Realistically, it's extremely unlikely. The 2026 referendum, if it happens, will be a signal, not a separation. A message to Ottawa that Albertans want more autonomy, more respect, and more say in their future. But don't expect a new star on the American flag anytime soon. This is a political debate with real roots, but it's also a high-stakes game of negotiation, identity, and power, and the world will be watching. Thanks for watching. If you found this breakdown helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into North American and global politics.